Have you ever found yourself sitting completely still, doing absolutely nothing, when a sudden, inexplicable wave of emptiness washes over your entire body? You are not necessarily sad, and you are certainly not angry. You just feel completely disconnected and off. In a desperate attempt to fix it, you reach for your smartphone, hoping a quick digital distraction will somehow reboot your mood. But the endless, mindless scrolling only leaves you feeling significantly worse than before. Even those highly produced motivational videos suddenly leave you feeling colder and more isolated. Playing your favorite upbeat music doesn't seem to change a single thing. You just sit there, staring blankly, wondering why you simply cannot feel energized for no apparent reason. Here is a truly shocking piece of neuroscience that your primal brain desperately wants to keep hidden from you. Motivation is not magically coming to save you today. Waiting passively for a sudden burst of inspiration to strike is a psychological trap specifically designed to keep you stuck in the mud. But the incredibly spirited news is that you possess the biological ability to activate a happier, more energetic state in exactly 15 seconds. You do not need to overhaul your entire life right now. You certainly do not need toxic positive thinking or forced, unnatural motivation pep talks. You only need to understand which specific biological switches you can manually flip inside your nervous system. Today, I am going to reveal 3 remarkably simple brain tricks that will instantly lift your mood and restore your focus. But you must listen closely, because the third trick is the absolute most powerful mechanism on this list. If you skip that final trick, you will completely miss the master key to changing how your brain reacts to stress forever. Let's start by looking at a quick, relatable story about 2 very different people. Imagine 2 separate individuals experiencing the exact same terrible, thoroughly exhausting day. They both face the same gridlock traffic, the same high-pressure workplace stress, and the exact same annoying daily problems. One person remains utterly miserable and irritable for the entire night. The other person somehow shakes it off, resets their mind, and actually feels genuinely okay within minutes of walking through the door. The difference between them has absolutely nothing to do with their external life circumstances. The fundamental difference lies entirely in exactly how their individual brains reacted during the first few critical seconds of stress. You must understand that your brain is not naturally designed to make you feel happy and fulfilled. It is biologically hardwired to react incredibly fast to negative stimuli in order to ensure your physical survival. Once you deeply understand the mechanics of that rapid survival reaction, you can successfully and deliberately interrupt it. We have all bought into the damaging lie that we must wait for our life circumstances to drastically improve before we can finally feel energized. This deeply ingrained belief is completely backwards. Spiritedness and motivation do not precede action, rather, specific, deliberate physical signals actually create the feeling of spiritedness. Grinding harder and pushing through when your internal battery is already blinking red is the absolute fastest road to a catastrophic burnout. So instead of trying to forcefully push through the heavy fatigue, let's learn exactly how to numb the overwhelming noise and actively summon your energy. Let's jump straight into trick number 1, which is known as the facial feedback switch. Here is a massive biological fact about the human body that most people completely misunderstand. Your brain does not simply generate your emotions internally and then project them outward. It constantly and obsessively monitors your physical body to determine exactly how you should be feeling in any given moment. Believe it or not, your own face is actually one of the brain's largest, fastest, and most trusted sources of emotional data. I want you to do this simple, highly conscious act alongside me right now. Consciously and deliberately lift your eyebrows just a tiny bit. Next, intentionally relax your tense jaw, letting the heavy, stored stress drop away. Finally, let the outer corners of your mouth lift up just a fractional amount. I am not asking you to paint a massive, forced, or painfully fake grin across your face. It is just a very soft, subtle, and peaceful smile. Hold that gentle, soft smile for precisely 15 seconds without letting it drop. Here is the brilliant, undisputed science of what is actually happening inside your head right now. Your brain receives a direct, undeniable physical cue from your facial muscles that signals one crucial message: we must be safe. When your primal brain truly believes that you are physically safe, it immediately reduces the flow of stress chemicals like cortisol. Simultaneously, it actively boosts the production of feel-good neurotransmitters, flooding your system with calm energy. Notice that you did not try to forcefully manifest energy or fake your positivity. You simply used your physical biology to signal safety, and your emotional state followed suit almost instantly. The absolute biggest mistake that tired people make is waiting until they naturally feel good before changing their hunched body language. Your biological operating system works entirely in reverse. If you change the physical signal first, the desired psychological emotion will inevitably follow. Honor your natural limits by using the simple 15-second shortcut to instantly stabilize your fried, overstimulated nervous system. So, now you know exactly how to tell your primal brain that you are safe from immediate physical danger. But what happens if your racing mind simply refuses to stop spinning out of control? What if you are hopelessly replaying old, unsolvable problems or jumping headfirst into future, unpredictable anxieties? That brings us seamlessly to trick number 2, which is an absolute necessity for achieving instant mental clarity. Trick number 2 is a psychological concept called, name it to tame it. You need to know that your brain fundamentally operates with two primary operating systems that rarely work well together. One is the highly reactive, primal emotional mode, the other is the cool, calculating, and logical thinking mode. The exact second you feel sudden stress, sharp anxiety, or a heavy lack of motivation, your brain jumps entirely into the reactive mode. All logic, reason, and higher-level thinking have effectively left the building. Here is the direct cognitive shortcut you can use to immediately take your psychological power back from the panic. The instant you feel your precious energy begin to spiral downward, you must simply label the specific emotion. You can say it silently in your own head, or you can actually speak it out loud to the empty room. I am feeling incredibly stressed right now. I am feeling totally unmotivated today. I am feeling completely overwhelmed by this task. That is the entire process, there is nothing else to it. Just provide the specific name of the feeling, do not add any deep analysis, and absolutely do not try to quickly fix it. Here is the profound psychological magic that happens behind the scenes of this cognitive labeling exercise. The very second you accurately and honestly label the feeling, your brain is forced to shift its internal control mechanisms. It rapidly moves power away from the fiery emotional centers and hands it directly over to your cool, logical processing centers. You instantly transition from being trapped inside the overwhelming emotion to calmly observing the emotion from a safe distance. Think of your sudden negative emotion like a wildly destructive, howling rainstorm. Without naming it, you are standing outside naked in the freezing rain, getting entirely soaked and battered by the wind. Once you finally name the storm, you are suddenly sitting inside a warm, calm house, safely watching the very same storm through a thick, clear window pane. The chaotic storm hasn't actually stopped, but your personal, internal experience of it has completely and radically changed. Your brain literally cannot maintain a state of full-blown panic while it is simultaneously engaged in the logical task of accurate labeling. Labeling firmly interrupts the destructive mental loop, giving you the vital space you need to just breathe. We have now successfully established physical safety and gained crystal clear mental awareness, but now we urgently need spirited forward movement. The final trick, which I promised was the absolute most powerful tool in your arsenal, fundamentally changes how your brain releases happiness chemicals. If you miss this crucial step, you miss out entirely on the absolute fastest natural energy trigger that human biology has to offer. Trick number 3 is highly effective and it is called the micro-win dopamine hit. Most people in our modern society try to chase their motivation completely backwards. They sit around and wait for inspiration to miraculously appear so they can finally take massive, life-changing action. But human biology is incredibly stubborn, it primarily rewards actual achievement, not passive waiting. Your brain eagerly releases dopamine not only after massive, monumental successes, but it also releases steady drops of dopamine during the simple act of progress. The explosive, life-altering secret here is that the progress does not have to be massive or even significant. Right now, I want you to pick one incredibly tiny action that takes less than 15 seconds to fully complete. Straighten out your hunched sitting posture and pull your shoulders back. Take a single, slow, incredibly deep, and highly intentional breath of air. Drink exactly one refreshing sip of cool, clean water. Complete that tiny, seemingly insignificant act right now, in this exact moment. When you actually complete that tiny act, your brain instantly detects definitive, undeniable physical progress. That tiny, recognized progress immediately triggers a localized release of dopamine inside your mind. And you must remember that dopamine does not just make you feel warm and good, it is your literal biological fuel for motivation, intense focus, and renewed optimism. The exhausted, burnt-out version of you always waits helplessly for motivation to naturally arrive on its own schedule. The rested, highly spirited, and dangerous version of you intimately understands that deliberate action must always come first, because the biological motivation will instantly follow. You honestly do not have the time to avoid resting and actively regenerating your core energy. The chronically tired version of you genuinely thinks that every minor, daily inconvenience is a catastrophic, world-ending crisis. The activated, well-rested version of you gracefully responds to those exact same problems with calculated wisdom and undeniable, calm power. Just imagine for a second how truly invincible you could be when you learn to fluidly combine these three 15-second biological switches. You soften your facial muscles, instantly signaling biological safety and lowering your harmful cortisol levels. You accurately and honestly label your negative emotion, immediately activating your powerful, higher-level logic centers. You deliberately generate one tiny, 15-second micro-win, instantly triggering a massive, dopamine-fueled wave of spiritedness. In well under 1 single minute, your entire, complex nervous system fundamentally shifts its operating state. Lasting happiness and deep energy are not things you simply sit around and passively wait to find, they are states of being that you must actively and deliberately activate. There is no brutal forcing, there is no endless waiting, there is just simple, highly effective brain science working effortlessly in your favor. The very next time you feel completely off, hopelessly unmotivated, or deeply overwhelmed by your life, do not just sit there and merely exist. Stop waiting for a miracle to happen. Deliberately flip the biological switches inside your mind. And instantly activate the absolute best version of yourself.